So today I'm going to be doing kind of a mishmash of a video, going through some of my older video game collection, and I'll also be chewing some extra spirit during the video. And as you can see, I'm rocking my Blue Lions Pride kind of sweatshirt here. There's an artist that I follow on Instagram that was selling these around Christmas time. So this was a Christmas present I got, and I also got the golden deer. But I think they're sold out now, but I'll include in the description their Instagram handle if the art is something you're interested in. Not sponsored or anything, I just really like their stuff. So I was thinking I really want to talk about some of my favorite Super Nintendo games. I have a really weird kind of set of favorites. As a kid, I think my parents kind of bought just kind of whatever they ran into, because I never had like any of the Super Mario ones or like Mortal Kombat or anything growing up. I always had these kind of random ones, so this one is definitely a little bit messed up with the label here, but you can see it's Disney's Goof Troop. This, as silly as it might sound, it's my all-time favorite Super Nintendo game, simply because I have a lot of really good memories around it. As you can see, I recently bought this for $11.99 when I was traveling for a convention. We popped into a retro video game store out in, it was in New York, and I'm always on the lookout for some of the old Super Nintendo games that I used to play. This was one of them, and this is a game that you can play as a 2-player, as Max and Goofy. And kind of the breakdown is Max is fast, but he's not strong. So an enemy that would go down in 1 hit with Goofy would take 2 hits for Max. But I think Max's hitbox was smaller, so it was easier to dodge, and he had like a speed multiplier on him in comparison to Goofy. So my mom actually used to play this game with me when I was a kid, and I wasn't kind of smart enough for some of the puzzles, because this is a very puzzle-based, well, it's not entirely puzzle-based, but there's a lot of things you need to solve, and a lot of hidden areas that are only accessible if you solve puzzles. So I used to be the one who was really good at beating the bosses, so I was used to playing video games and kind of got their pattern down and had the reflexes for it. And my mom was really good at puzzles, and we would, this is a game that you could sit down and beat in probably like 2 hours. Like realistically, we weren't speed running or anything. So I remember like at least once or twice a week when my mom would get home from work, I'd be like, are we gonna play the Goofy game? And she'd humor me and we'd play. And a lot of times we'd get hung up on the last level is a pirate ship level, and the boss is pretty unforgiving. So we'd like get all the way to the end level. We'd go through all the puzzles to get to the final boss, and we'd get stuck with this weird AI. But we beat it a couple times, and when I got the game, I went back and beat it, and it was just it's a really fun game. I mean, I feel like I like Max and Goofy about as much as the next person. They're not like my favorite Disney characters of all time or anything, but the game itself is just really fun, especially if you play with two people. The puzzles are pretty intelligent. There's a lot of fun little stuff you can do. Like, in one section, it's just an open field and you're digging for health items and stuff before you go in for a big boss battle. All the bosses have unique mechanics. There's a lot of, if you're having fun with player 2, you can kind of meme on each other. Like, you can push each other into like a hole and have them lose a life. Or there's a stage where you hop on a platform and the platform generates directional arrows, and you can kind of goof around with somebody. If you hop on the plate and scooch it out of the way before they can hop on, they'll fall off a ledge, or you can just, it's a fun game with good memories. And the music is also pretty good. Each stage has its own music. There's one, I think it might be the second stage, or second level, or second world. I remember it used to have kind of sad music, so we'd always have to turn the music off because it was a little depressing and distracting if you're trying to solve some of the puzzles. So, really good game for a 2-player. You're all gonna put a couple hours into kind of beating a game, getting stuck on some puzzles and finding some hidden areas. Very fun little game. I doubt it's going for much online or anything like that, because I have a really hard time finding anyone who remembers this game. So I don't think there's much value other than that it's decent and I'm nostalgic for it. Another game that I had as a kid is Jurassic Park for the Super Nintendo. This is one I never beat. There's I was always really intimidated by some of the mechanics, and I think it's because I never played like any of the first-person shooter games of this era, because I really liked the when you're kind of just going around the open world and stuff, is I feel like the main character is modeled after the protagonist in the movies, but you're just kind of wandering around outside and everything was fine with that. But then when you get inside buildings, it always creeped me out as a kid, because everything is kind of like you can only see what's in front of you. You don't have any ability to look. So when you turn, the whole picture changes. And this had a ton of jump scares where all of a sudden, like, you're going forward, you hear a sound, you turn, and a velociraptor just jumps at you. Something else I remember from this is one of the ways of traveling is going through elevators, and they put elevator music in. So I swear I spent probably about like half my game just camping out in elevators because I was scared and I didn't know where to find the real weaponry. So this is a game that I never got very far in, but I spent a lot of time just kind of camping out in the elevators and running around. I think it was one of those that, like, I want to go back and play it now that I'm older and can problem solve and try to figure out the game. When I was a kid, I just didn't know what was going on, but I was fond of it, so I ended up picking this up as well. Is the Goof Troop game when I went to a convention out in New York, and there was a pretty sweet vintage video game store there, so picked that up as well. There's a few Super Nintendo games that I want to buy because they're ones that I had when I was younger. I was a big fan of the Top Gear game for the Super Nintendo. I put so many hours into Top Gear as a kid. And I'm not, like, inherently into racing games, but for some reason, that was another one I really liked. Especially because it was 2-player. And the music was fun. It was kind of fun just refining your driving ability. And another memorable one was the Godzilla for Super Nintendo. That was another one, like, Jurassic Park that I don't think I understood the game as a kid, but I had a boatload of fun because it was basically like, I probably only got through the first chapter or two, or first stage or two, where you kind of walk around town as Godzilla. You amble around town. You run into power plants to power yourself up. And then you confront another one of the big monsters, so you'll go up against like Mothra or like Mechagodzilla, or I'm forgetting the name of the three-headed golden dragon looking one. It's like King something. But and you go up against them and you straight up control them, like you punch and kick and sweep with the tail and stuff. It's like, I'm sure that's been done more eloquently, probably in some modern game, but as a kid that felt so cool, being able to just sit there and kind of like rock 'em sock 'em reptile with Godzilla. I was a big Godzilla fan as a kid. And yeah, so those are the most memorable ones. And as a kid that I had for the Super Nintendo, really weird mishmash of them. I had one of the Star Wars ones that's kind of ridiculously hard. I had Lion King, I remember, which was fun, but I remember you get to one of the stages, they really liked throwing in tree levels where you have to be like this perfect with your controls. And like if you miss the hitbox on jumping through the tree or getting tossed by monkeys or landing on top of a giraffe, it's just game over. So that one was one that I used to play. And my mom liked Super Nintendo as well, so she'd try to help with some of those puzzles when I was a kid. That was a good one. I think we had some sort of Timon and Pumbaa game as well, I remember. So really weird variety of Super Nintendo games I played as a kid. But so now I get to discover all of the old actual classic ones like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, the Super Mario ones, all those ones. So I'm still working on discovering like the actual classics. And some other, these aren't like super old, but I don't have enough that I think they would merit their own video. So the old DS games. This one is Pokemon SoulSilver. This is one of my favorite games of all time. I don't believe that this is my original copy. I'm pretty sure this is one that I rebought. And unfortunately, I don't have the Pokewalker anymore, because I used to get some serious literal mileage out of the Pokewalker. But this is it's not really a hot take to say that it's a favorite, because I think this is a pretty big favorite for a lot of folks. It's an excellent kind of remaster of the second generation. I'm amazed that we don't have the ability going forward in games to have our Pokemon follow us, because that was such a hit from this, and it was just cute being able to turn back around to your Pokemon and either they'd find something when they were walking, or you could just talk to them and they'd be like, oh, like Totodile is plotting something, or Totodile is happy to be walking with you. And it was just really cute. I didn't get to play the original games on the Game Boy as a kid, so this was my first experience with this generation, with the second generation, and being able to go back after you finish the Johto region and going back to Kanto was really cool to experience. And this is just very eloquently done. I would love to get my hands on a Pokewalker that would work. Like probably 50% of the people that owned one, I ended up throwing it through the wash as a kid, and that bad boy did not work at all afterwards. When this came out, I used to run like track and cross country, so I would attach the little Pokewalker to my waist before practice. They'd have us running laps around the track, and then I'd be just sitting there training up my Pokemon on the Pokewalker. So, I mean, honestly, if they wanted, I think they have like the Pokemon Go Plus kind of wristwatch thing, and I know that pedometers are kind of incorporated into Pokemon Go, but there's just something nice about having the little clip that you could just throw on your backpack or something like that, and it had the little interactive screen. So it's like, I mean, when I was probably in middle school at the time, you just bring that to school with you, and either you're hiding it in your desk or you hit the bathroom and pull it out when you're hiding in there. So it was just a fun little feature, but very fond memories of this game. It's been a while since I've replayed it, but excellent game. A bit of a game that hasn't, I don't know if it's lesser known, but I haven't heard anything about any remakes or them pursuing anything on the Switch yet, but Pokemon Ranger. This one is Shadows of Almia. It's the only Ranger game that I have, but I got a kick out of it as a kid. I think the only thing that bugged me is that you don't actually get to catch any Pokemon, really. You kind of team up with them for a stage and then they leave. So the whole premise of this one was kind of from what I remember, is teaming up with Pokemon in the wild to kind of solve some natural disasters that were happening. Like, I remember all of a sudden, like, the forest would be on fire and you had to go find you had to free and then capture some water type Pokemon to help put them out, and just a bunch of like elemental problems happening. Find Pokemon with element that counters element. And I mean, it was simplistic, but it was fun. I think I'm gonna have to play through this again so that I can remember the backstory, like who the big bads were and that kind of deal. And this definitely was kind of pushing the features of the DS, like, hey, there's a touchscreen and a stylus, because in order to capture Pokemon, you'd circle them with the stylus, and I think it was based on like how fast you did it and how kind of small the circles were and things, it would have a better chance of capturing the Pokemon. And as you went through the game, you could have more Pokemon kind of follow you, but you'd reach a set number, and that was part of the strategy, was like you couldn't just recruit the whole forest and have like a mob behind you. You could have like 2 or 3 Pokemon kind of following you around at a time, so you had to strategize who you needed and who could get left behind. But it was a fun little game. It was a unique kind of take on Pokemon, and I guess it was kind of the companion to having like you have the mainline game, you have Mystery Dungeon, some sort of like Coliseum or kind of fighter game, and then you'd get a Ranger game. But I haven't gotten one of these in a little bit. I'd definitely buy one if they put one out on the Switch, depending on what they added. And I guess this is turning into the Pokemon DS collection. But Pokemon Platinum. This is another one that isn't my original copy. I believe my original was stolen on the bus when I was a kid, but this is definitely one of my favorite Pokemon games, if not my all-time favorite Pokemon game. I was a big fan of the whole concept of going to the like alternate dimension or alternate world where Giratina was. I just liked the generation. I liked the Pokemon in the generation. I found, to me, this was like kind of the end of an era for Pokemon, in terms of it felt really consistent with like Fire Red, Leaf Green, and then SoulSilver, Heart Gold. Well, Fire Red and Leaf Green followed by Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, and SoulSilver, Heart Gold, and then Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. I felt like they all kind of fit together in, maybe they were all kind of similar to each other, but I felt like when I went into playing Pokemon Black and White, it felt a lot different. And that could have been just kind of like the updated art style and things like that. Could have been because they introduced, I believe, the most new Pokemon in Black and White, but this and the ones before it kind of comprise my most favorite Pokemon games in terms of the mainline games. I just felt like there was just so much to this game, and it could be that I'm a little biased because I ended up playing the third game in the generation, but I just liked the whole story. Like, you get to go to the alternate dimension, everything's all wonky, like you're walking upside down, you're walking sideways, you're doing this, that, and the other thing. It just felt kind of snazzy, and like you really got to experience the power of Pokemon in terms of, like, you get to see Groudon and Kyogre, and everybody tells you like, oh, like, King of the Sea, and Groudon's in the middle of the volcano, and it's gonna, like, and when you're walking around the volcano, it looks like it's gonna erupt, and you see that. But in this, it's like, all of a sudden I'm walking upside down because this Pokemon is rolling over this alternate dimension, and I don't know, it just really brought it to life for me. And just that scene where all of a sudden, like, you just see eyes in like the black hole that Giratina is coming out of, it was really cool. And I also liked the legendaries were cool. In this, I believe you could get Giratina as well as the other two. And then Darkrai and Cresselia were also featured, so I just felt like this one had a lot going for it. I do need to get back into playing this again and do another run through because I'm already starting to forget components of the story. For some reason, my memory for some of the Pokemon games where it's been a while since I've played them starts to fail me, so like, for it being my favorite game, I do need to go back and play it so that I can remember more of it. But yeah, I ended up getting a lot of the Pokemon DS games, and I do want to get another copy of Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky. So that was another one that I really liked on the DS. But yeah, that's my little couple more of my kind of older collection. Definitely the Super Nintendo games are a good deal older than the DS games, but throughout each generation of video game console, I kind of leave with some popular favorites and some kind of random favorites. And I also have a pretty big list of games that I need to go back and collect more of. Like, need to complete some more of my Super Nintendo collection. I need to round out my DS collection. There's a couple more Game Boy games that I kind of want to go back and rediscover, so let me know if you guys have some Super Nintendo games that you remember fondly, or some games that you're looking to collect from your childhood that either got misplaced or that you sold or something like that. I'd be interested to hear in the comments what you folks remember as being favorites from those two generations of consoles. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. I hope you have a great morning or afternoon or night, depending on when you're watching the video. Goodbye.